So the judge in former President Donald Trump's newest criminal case is pushing both sides to come to court this week. Trump's lawyers want the judge to reject a court order limiting what the former president can say about the evidence against him. This is after Trump wrote on social media, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you." Prosecutors argue he may reveal sensitive and confidential material. The former president's lawyers say that would be a blanket gag order censoring protected political speech. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 4 federal charges, including conspiracy to defraud the United States.
The former president is back on the campaign trail today. Trump is expected to speak to supporters later on this afternoon in New Hampshire. Voters in the Granite State are also expecting to hear from GOP candidates Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson, and Chris Christie later on this evening. So for more on the GOP primary field, we're joined by Molly Ball. She's a national political correspondent for Time magazine. Good to see you, Molly. So, indictment number 3 for the former president. Is this impacting his campaign strategy in any way other than obviously helping him with his fundraising?
That seems to be the main way, and it's obviously also affecting his campaign rhetoric. He's been talking a lot about the charges on the trail, using them to amplify the sense of victimization that he feels and that a lot of his voters feel, and therefore to reinforce the loyalty that so many Republican voters feel for him. We have seen as this year has gone on and as the indictments have piled up, he's only seemed to rise in the polls, and every single time that one of these indictments comes down, and we may be looking at another one very soon, he has used it to double down on this message that he's being victimized by the federal government, by the Biden administration in particular, and using that to amplify his message and to keep his voters loyal to him. It also may affect eventually his schedule on the campaign trail. We've seen that with all of these trials and other court cases coming up in the coming months and year, that it may interfere with his ability to be out there talking to voters, and that may also become a concern for his campaign.
Molly, Chris Christie was on CBS Mornings earlier today, and he spoke about voter support in New Hampshire compared to the national level. Watch this.
And as far as national polls go, if we had a national primary, I'd be really concerned. But we don't. We have one state at a time. And we're going to compete hard in those states, and we're doing well to go in 2 months. We announced 2 months ago today, and we are now a clear 3rd place statistically and 2nd in New Hampshire.
All right, what do you make of that?
Well, it is true. You know, I was recently in Iowa, and there is the same feeling there. It feels a lot less like an open and shut race when you're on the ground in these early states. You know, the voters in Iowa and New Hampshire, and to some extent South Carolina and Nevada, are quite sophisticated. They've been through this many times. They know and they feel a great sense of responsibility about their sort of unique mandate of vetting the candidates very closely. If you remember, you know, President Biden in 2020 did very poorly in Iowa because those voters saw him up close and had a lot of doubts about whether he could perform as a presidential candidate. Of course, those doubts ended up not coming true, but these voters are used to scrutinizing the candidates and taking a long time to make up their minds. So voters in Iowa and New Hampshire will tell you they feel like they have plenty of time and there's no need to coalesce around a candidate right now. So the overwhelming lead that you see for Trump in the polls, especially nationally, is not necessarily the case in these early states. That being said, he still does have a formidable lead. He still does have a lot of support, even in the early states. And so it is still very much an uphill battle for any of the other candidates.
Meantime, former Vice President Mike Pence says that he is qualified for the first debate. He has the required number of individual donors. But it kind of took him a while. I know he took his time to announce that he was running. What should we make of how long it's taken him to reach that threshold?
Mike Pence has a very, very difficult situation in this Republican primary. You know, I think under normal circumstances, you might think that the former vice president of the still popular former Republican president would be a top contender. Instead, he has really struggled, and we have seen that a lot of Republican voters have ruled him out, have a sort of special dislike for him because he is viewed as having betrayed the former president president. And so I think it's always been a very uphill battle for Pence in this primary. We've seen him sharpen his rhetoric against Trump somewhat now that he has made the debate. It'll be interesting to see whether he tries to go on offense a little bit more. But all of these candidates have had this difficult situation of not wanting to disagree with the Republican base's still great affection for President Trump, but at the same time, they're running against him. They need to promote themselves over him and somehow disqualify him with Republican voters. And clearly that hasn't happened yet. And I think Pence is in the most difficult position, possibly of any of these candidates, in trying to straddle that divide.
Molly Ball, thank you for the context.